Quarterback moves happen every single offseason in the NFL. In 2023, Baker Mayfield signed with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. In 2024, Kirk Cousins signed a mega deal with the Atlanta Falcons. And in 2025, just last season, Sam Darnold signed with the Seattle Seahawks and won them a Super Bowl in year one with the team. So I'm going to be predicting 9 QBs that I think could be on the move in the 2026 offseason. And before we get into this video, please make sure to leave a like and subscribe to this channel. We're trying to reach 1,000 subs by the NFL draft. Let's get straight into it. First guy that we're going to be talking about is going to be Fernando Mendoza to the Las Vegas Raiders. And this is the most obvious one of the video, so we'll get through this pretty quickly. The Las Vegas Raiders have the #1 overall pick in the 2026 NFL draft, and it's almost a lock that Fernando Mendoza will be going to the team. Now, the Raiders GM did say at the NFL Combine that he does not want his team to start a young quarterback, so this might not be the only quarterback move for the Las Vegas Raiders this offseason. Maybe they keep Geno Smith on the team, even though I don't see that as likely. They probably will bring in another mentor QB for Fernando Mendoza, but without a doubt, Fernando Mendoza is a no-brainer #1 overall pick for the team. In 2025, he won the Heisman Trophy and a national championship for Indiana, and he was so good that even his coach Curt Cignetti at Indiana said he needs to leave college and go pro. So Fernando Mendoza to the Las Vegas Raiders makes all the sense in the world, and that's my first quarterback offseason prediction for 2026. Now the second quarterback move I have happening this offseason is going to be a mega trade where Kyler Murray finds himself on the New York Jets. Now, the New York Jets badly need an upgrade at quarterback over Justin Fields. When they had Aaron Rodgers healthy in 2024, he was not that great for them. And then when they moved on to Justin Fields in 2025, he did not play very good at all. It was probably the worst starting quarterback in the NFL. Now, honestly, Aaron Glenn is going to be coaching for his job now. He, in year one, did not perform very well as a Jets head coach. Didn't really fix that culture that many Jets fans were hoping for. I think Kyler Murray could help him out just a little bit. Now, Kyler Murray last year in 2025 did suffer a mid-foot sprain that led him on season-ending IR. So you do have to worry about the injuries with Kyler Murray. He also had a torn ACL in 2022. So he has been injured quite a bit over the course of his career. But he's a guy who I think just needs a change of scenery. Now, I'm not completely sure that New York is the best place for him. However, Kyler Murray over the course of his career has put together a couple good seasons. And there's a chance that with Garrett Wilson and even Adonai Mitchell, and maybe even if Breece Hall is brought back, the New York Jets offense could be pretty good in 2026 with Kyler Murray at the helm. Now, with the Arizona Cardinals needing a new quarterback, it makes all the sense in the world for the team to go out and search and trade for Tua Tagovailoa. Now, Tua Tagovailoa is going to need the new QB because of my proposed trade where they would send Kyler Murray to the New York Jets. And the Miami Dolphins GM has already said that they're discussing trades involving Tua. Now, Tua has had a really bad last 2 seasons in 2024 and 2025. And he's also suffered a couple of concussions over the course of his career, as you guys definitely know, that could have been affecting his play over the last 2 years. However, he is a huge bounce back candidate in my eyes because he had a phenomenal 2023 season with the Dolphins. Him and Tyreek Hill were a lethal duo. And if you bring him into that Arizona Cardinals offense with Trey McBride and Marvin Harrison Jr., I think he could bring that offense to be really good in 2026. Now, he has dealt with some interception issues. He had 15 last year, which was a career high, and he definitely had some head-scratching decisions. But I think if you just change where he's playing, give him some new weapons, I think Tua could have a big 2026 with the Arizona Cardinals. Dolphins fans, do not worry. I know you need a QB now that Tua Tagovailoa is out of town and with the Arizona Cardinals in my mock trade. But I have you guys drafting Ty Simpson. Now, Ty Simpson, a lot of fans are split on him. Some have him as a first-round prospect. Some do not really like him at all. But the fact of the matter is, over the past month, he's been rising up draft boards because of his first-round skill set. Now, they do have Quinn Ewers on the roster, but I do not believe that he's the guy you want to build this team around. But as for the Miami Dolphins, I have taking Ty Simpson in the second round of the NFL draft. So you'll be getting a potential first-round prospect in the second round just because none of the other teams that really need a QB I have going in this direction with Ty Simpson. However, with the Miami Dolphins entering a rebuild, I think it makes more sense for them to go out in the draft and get a guy like Ty Simpson. In 2025, he had 27 touchdowns and only 4 interceptions at Alabama. He has had accuracy issues at times, but still has a very good skill set. He has very good mobility. However, he did have 6 fumbles in 2025, which is something that he will definitely have to work on when he transitions to the NFL level. Now, overall, he's a good young QB that I think Miami could definitely build around during a rebuild. And as for my next quarterback prediction this offseason, I have Kirk Cousins going back to the Minnesota Vikings, where he played in 2018 to 2023. As I mentioned in the intro of this video, in 2024 he signed a mega deal with the Atlanta Falcons, where he was going to be their starting quarterback. But then in the same offseason that they signed him, they also drafted Michael Penix Jr., and eventually Michael Penix Jr. ended up taking the job from Kirk Cousins and did not look back. The Atlanta Falcons have already said that they will be releasing Kirk at the start of the new league year, which will make him a free agent and free to go wherever he wants. Now, even if he isn't a starter, he could definitely serve as a mentor to J.J. McCarthy in Minnesota. Now, I will say that J.J. McCarthy did have a very shaky 2025 season, leaving a lot of fans, questioning if he is a true franchise guy in Minnesota. So at worst, Kirk Cousins could start a couple games for the Vikings in 2026 and hopefully elevate that offense just a little bit more under Kevin O'Connell. However, even if he doesn't start, he could still serve as a good mentor to J.J. McCarthy, and it just makes sense that he would be going back there as a free agent, probably finishing out his career in Minnesota, where he had the most success over the course of his career. So I have Kirk Cousins going back to the Minnesota Vikings. As for the next quarterback move I have happening in the 2026 offseason, we have Aaron Rodgers returning to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, I know that he is contemplating retirement, but I think the fact that Mike McCarthy is coming in to the new head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers following the stepping down of Mike Tomlin will be enough to convince Aaron Rodgers to come back in the 2026 season and finish off his career with one more year. I will say last year he did have a rough start and kind of middle to end of his season. However, he did overall still play some solid football for the Pittsburgh Steelers, and that he could replicate that in 2026 and maybe even be any better. Now, I will say this, if he does come back to the NFL, I literally don't see another fit for him other than the Pittsburgh Steelers. So if he does come back, I think it's guaranteed that he will be a Steeler. And I also just do not want to see him go out sad after that bad performance in the playoffs against the Houston Texans. Albeit it was a great defense in the Houston Texans, but still do not want to see one of the GOATs go out sad. So Aaron Rodgers, I have him going back to the Pittsburgh Steelers in this offseason. So as for the next QB I have going on the move, I have the number one free agent according to the NFL, Malik Willis, heading to the Miami Dolphins. Now, I know that I have them drafting Ty Simpson. However, I believe that the quarterback room of Ty Simpson and Quinn Ewers is just not good enough. So I have them being their team to take a swing on Malik Willis. Now, in his only start this year with the Green Bay Packers, he put up 288 yards and a touchdown through the air with an 85.6 completion percentage. And like I mentioned, he's an elite scrambler in that one start. He also had 60 yards on the ground and 2 touchdowns. So he is an absolute dual threat weapon that the Miami Dolphins could definitely use. And alongside Jalen Waddle and Devontae Chain in that offense, I think he could definitely make some real things happen in that offense in 2026. I believe that he could only benefit from having a full year starting. But the risk is the fact that it is going to be his first year starting in the NFL for an entire season. But at worst, it gives Miami a fun quarterback to try and build around, who would also serve as a mentor to Ty Simpson. And if Ty Simpson doesn't work out and Malik Willis does, then there you go, you have your franchise QB Malik Willis. But if Malik Willis does not work out, you still have Ty Simpson, who you could help rely on in the future. Now, the last signing that I have going on in this offseason in 2026 is going to be the re-signing of Daniel Jones going back to the Indianapolis Colts. But NFL fans, this is not the last move of the video. I have a mega trade that is going to be going down that you guys will definitely not want to miss. But Daniel Jones, I'm going back to the Indianapolis Colts, and I believe that he just needs to go back there, and the Colts kind of need him. Now, last year, he did have kind of a breakout season with the Colts before his season got cut short in Week 18 due to his torn Achilles injury after trying to play through a calf injury towards the end of the season. Now, I will say that another part of the reason why the Colts kind of just need him back is because of the fact that they traded their next 2 first-round picks to the New York Jets for Sauce Gardner. So there's really no excuse to not play well next season, and as well, their head coach and GM are kind of fighting for their jobs this next upcoming season, and Daniel Jones proved to be a solid quarterback in that system last year. Now, he did have some rough games right before his injury, so you can't be concerned that he'll regress even further after having a couple bad games, before he's torn Achilles, and you have to see the risk of him, coming back from that torn Achilles. You don't know how well he will be. But there really is no other real option for the Colts. I can see this really being the only move that they make at the quarterback position, and it just seems like a pairing that needs to continue for at least one more year. So that's why I have Daniel Jones going back to the Colts, and now we'll be moving on to the big trade that I believe could shake up the NFL in 2026. And that trade is going to be CJ Stroud going to the Dallas Cowboys and Dak Prescott going to the Houston Texans. Now, this is going to be a huge QB swap, one that is going to be similar to the Jared Goff and Matthew Stafford swap that happened a few years back, which led to the Detroit Lions and Jared Goff, kind of starting a big rebuild, and it was kind of successful. They didn't win a Super Bowl. However, they are still a very good team. And as for the Los Angeles Rams, they ended up winning a Super Bowl out of that trade. Now, I believe that Houston, they need a different QB if they want to win now. CJ Stroud had a phenomenal rookie year, but last year he was real bad down the stretch, including a 4-interception game in the divisional round playoff game against the New England Patriots, giving them literally no chance of winning despite an amazing defensive performance. Now, I believe that if they can bring in a guy like Dak Prescott, and I'll put his highlights up on the screen right here, if they can bring in Dak Prescott, I believe that he could be a guy who, late in his career, he is still a very good quarterback, and if you put him in Houston, you give him, one more receiving option. I know they have Tank Dell coming back. They also have Nico Collins in that offense. I think Dak Prescott can absolutely cook in Houston, and with that elite defense, I think that Houston immediately becomes one of the top Super Bowl contenders in the NFL. And I understand that Texans fans love CJ Stroud, but the fact of the matter is, the way I see it, I don't think he is good enough to win a Super Bowl with the Houston Texans, whereas I believe that Dak Prescott will take them to a different level. I think he will allow the Texans to be true Super Bowl contenders and possibly win it as soon as 2026. And as for CJ Stroud, when he goes to Dallas, he will have George Pickens and CeeDee Lamb out wide receiver to help him really, he kind of can't fail with that. And then in the running game, they have Javonte Williams, who had a breakout season last year, having over 1,200 yards, and he already signed a 3-year, $24 million extension, so he will be staying in Dallas. I think that this trade just works out for both teams very well. NFL fans, that is the last quarterback move I have happening this offseason. Those were 10 moves that I think could be happening in the 2026 offseason. NFL fans, let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below and if these moves make sense. But I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.